From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, March the 9th, 2021. Israel's national elections are just 2 weeks away, and voting for Israeli diplomats stationed abroad begins tomorrow night at 24 embassies, with more in the coming weeks. Israel's public broadcaster Khan tweeted the news that a total of 104 polling stations will be opened in 100 delegations around the world, including 4 new ones: Morocco, the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and Bahrain, sharing a photo of boxes of ballots heading to those locations. The Times of Israel cited the director of Israel's Central Elections Committee, Orly Adas, speaking on meeting the challenges in Israel of voting during a pandemic. Adas said one solution will be the use of buses converted into ballot stations, making it easier and safer for people that are quarantining at home because of the coronavirus. The committee is also apparently considering placing voting stations at Ben Gurion Airport so that those who enter the country and are eligible to vote can do so before they have to go into quarantine. Israel's elections are March the 23rd. An Israeli television report claimed today that Russia transferred an object believed to have belonged to legendary Israeli spy Eli Cohen to Israel for examination. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledged that efforts are being made in Syria to find Cohen's remains, but the Prime Minister's office denied that any personal object may have been found. Eli Cohen operated for the Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency in Syria, providing critical intelligence to Israel from 1961 until his capture and execution in Syria in 1965. Utah is the latest state in the U.S. to pass legislation against the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions campaign that seeks to delegitimize the state of Israel. The anti-boycott Israel amendments were sponsored by State Senator Daniel Hemmert and State Representative Joel Ferry. They prohibit a government entity from contracting with a person that boycotts the state of B'nai B'rith International welcomed the news about Utah, tweeting, "We welcome its appreciation of Israel as a key U.S. ally in the Middle East region and the state's recognition of Israel's right to engage in free trade." Well, with the success of Israel's coronavirus vaccination campaign, a team from IsraAid has begun its own campaign of helping a number of poor countries build their own COVID vaccination program. A 7-member team from the Tel Aviv-based nonprofit IsraAid landed in the small African country of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, yesterday. They were invited by its government. The organization tweeted that in the coming weeks, the team will be working with the Ministry of Health to provide support with COVID-19 response efforts, including preparing for the country's vaccination rollout. Delegation member Molly Bernstein told the Times of Israel that Israel's vaccine success story has already reached here, and people really welcome and appreciate our effort. IsraAid spokesman Ethan Schwartz told the Times that this was a first step in IsraAid's global vaccine initiative. The idea, he said, is that this will serve as a pilot for us so that in coming months we can support other countries in vaccine rollout, taking knowledge we got from Israel's vaccine rollout and using it to support other countries. And a memorandum of understanding was signed between Israel's Mashav, its Agency for International Development Cooperation, which is part of Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Rwanda. Mashav tweeted that the MOU is to renew the country's bilateral cooperation to promote agricultural production in Rwanda through the Rwanda-Israel Center of Excellence for Horticultural Development, established to train all levels of the farming community there. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, March the 9th. At 7 o'clock, it's From the Aleph Bet. At 7:40, we hear from political and military analyst Major Elliot Chadoff from the QFI Summit 2016. At 8 tonight, Lord John Mann and Rolla Brendlin discuss the significance of the English Premier League adopting the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. That's in a program of the American Jewish Committee with moderator Simone Rodan Ben-Zaken. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with chairman of the Chelsea Football Club in the UK, Bruce Buck, who talks about the club's initiative, Say No to Anti-Semitism. That's on L'chaim. At 10, British historian Andrew Roberts recounts the history of Winston Churchill's Zionism, and Naomi Rao and Mark Ramzo discuss religious freedom and the courts. That's from the 2019 JLC conference. And coming up next on The Dersh Show, Alan Dershowitz speaks about cancel culture. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, March the 9th, 2021. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy. Stay well.